Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And today the Epic Games vs. Apple saga is well on its way as private documents and emails have made their way to the public. Yeah, a ton of information is making its way online where we can get a glimpse as to how these big companies handle their business behind closed doors. And this involves the entire game industry. Epic Games, being one of the most successful publishers, obviously have had a lot of contact with different platform holders. Nintendo information, Xbox, and PlayStation documents have all come out today, some of which is exciting, while others can be, well, a little shady. PlayStation is certainly under a lot of fire from fans right now, but yeah, we'll go over all that today, and really, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about this case as things continue to come out. Obviously, though, we do have a lot to go over today, including a surprise Xbox game that might be in development, and this is really exciting stuff. So make sure to stay tuned for all of that, but with that said, let's get right into the news. So 2021 is a big year for game anniversaries. At the beginning of the year, I said on this channel, we're going to hear a lot about game anniversaries in 2021. Several notable IP are hitting major milestones this year, including Pokemon, Metroid, Zelda, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Halo, and the list goes on and on. In fact, Sega is celebrating Sonic's 30th anniversary in 2021, where they have some big plans for the Blue Blur. We still don't know exactly what these plans are just yet, but they have continuously teased some new games, merchandise, and they've already announced a movie as well as a Netflix series, Sonic Prime. The thing is, development has been difficult for a number of different developers across the industry as employees work from home. And this has caused a number of games to ultimately be delayed, and from the sounds of it, this has unfortunately affected Sonic's 30th anniversary as well. A Sonic licensing advertisement unveiled that more items for Sonic's 30th anniversary are planned for 2022. If you check out this ad, right at the bottom it mentions games, movies, animations, mobile, partnerships, and more in 2022. Now, maybe we still get a new Sonic game in 2021. Rumor has it that they might be working on a Sonic Colors remaster, so that could come out sometime this year, and then a brand new Sonic in 2022. I think that would be a pretty nice 1-2 punch, but yeah, it does look like that we will have more Sonic to look forward to next year as well. Next up though, PlayStation struck up a surprise partnership with Discord. Yeah, just last month, Microsoft and Discord were in acquisition talks where Microsoft was reportedly trying to buy them out for $12 billion. That ended up falling through though, as Discord decided to remain independent, but it didn't stop Sony from taking a minority stake in Discord, which will have a direct impact for PlayStation gamers. Sony did confirm that they plan on integrating the popular social platform into PlayStation consoles by 2022. Their exact statement was, "Our goal is to bring the Discord and PlayStation experiences closer together on console and mobile starting early next year, allowing friends, groups, and communities to hang out, have fun, and communicate more easily while playing games together." So there it is, and this is pretty cool. Discord is popular for a reason. It's a good platform to create communities, socialize, and talk with friends. Discord is apparently used by more than 140 million gamers every single month, so yeah, this is a huge platform, and now it looks like it will be integrated with PlayStation in some shape or form. I personally like this move a lot because what this does is it allows you to talk with people on other platforms. Being able to talk with people on PC and mobile devices is a really nice addition, and especially with more games offering crossplay, Discord is a good option to chat with other gamers on various platforms. Now, we still need to see how Discord is integrated with PlayStation, but on paper, it sounds pretty good. And while we're talking about PlayStation, an interesting trademark popped up online which is quite eye-catching. So check this out. Sony recently filed a trademark for Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, that is very intriguing to say the least. Now, some of you may recognize Sunset Overdrive as being an Xbox One exclusive, and a really good one at that. This game was developed by Insomniac Games and published by Xbox, and that right there is always where there is a lot of confusion with this game. Yes, Xbox did publish Sunset Overdrive, but they agreed to let Insomniac Games keep the IP. That was actually one reason that Insomniac Games went to Xbox exclusively. Insomniac Games up to this point didn't really own any of their past work, and instead their games were locked to different publishers. You know, Spyro is owned by Activision, Resistance and Ratchet & Clank were owned by PlayStation, and yeah, they wanted to own their own IP for a change, so that's how Sunset Overdrive came to be on the Xbox One. Well, now that Sony has acquired Insomniac Games, they technically own the Sunset Overdrive IP, and that is where this trademark comes in. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that a new Sunset Overdrive is being made per se, but there have been some rumors that they are doing a remaster of sorts for the PS4 and PS5. I've also heard about a sequel, though I don't know if there is any truth to any of that. Insomniac is already busy with both Ratchet & Clank as well as Spider-Man, so I'm just going to mark that down as a rumor that's floating around. However, I would be happy to see a Sunset Overdrive remaster for PlayStation because it's a really fun game and I would like to see more people enjoy it. This game always deserved more attention than it got. It was actually kind of saddening to see it get so little attention for how good it actually was. A lot of that was because it was an Xbox One exclusive, but maybe if it comes to PlayStation, it'll get more attention this time. With that said though, I'm not sure what kind of contract Xbox and Insomniac had with Sunset Overdrive. It's hard to tell what Insomniac is allowed to do with the first game, but we'll see what happens with all this. It could be nothing, or we could get more Sunset Overdrive, and I know exactly which one I'm rooting for. Anytime we get more good games, that always makes me happy. Now, speaking of Xbox, it sounds like one of their most high-profile studios is working on a secret project. Well, I guess it won't exactly be secret anymore, but according to the VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb, the coalition is very busy right now. Obviously, they're working on the next Gears as expected. That's an important franchise for Xbox, and the coalition took over the IP once Microsoft bought the Gears franchise back in 2014. They're also apparently helping out with Halo Infinite in a major way. The coalition does do a great job with visuals, and they're very talented, so them helping out with Halo Infinite is a good sign for the quality of that game. We did get an updated picture of Halo Infinite just last week, and it does look excellent. Definitely a night and day difference from what we saw last year with Craig. Most interestingly though, is that apparently the coalition has a third project where they're working on something new. Jeff Grubb mentioned that it's likely a new IP, but he's also heard things like it could possibly be a Star Wars game. Now, he doesn't seem confident on whether or not it's related to Star Wars, but he does seem sure that the coalition is working on a third project, and that alone is big. As I just said, the coalition is incredibly talented, and when the studio was first created, they were primed to make a new IP before taking over the Gears franchise. They were originally Black Tusk Studios, and back in the early generation for Xbox One, they put out a promising teaser for Shanghai Heist. This was just a teaser, but a lot of fans really got excited about it, and they were disappointed when they decided to go with the Gears IP instead. Well, if Jeff Grubb is correct, which he seems to be making a habit out of here in the last year, they could be yet again working on a new IP outside of the Gears franchise. Now, Gears is one of my top 3 favorite franchises ever made, so I love what they've been doing with the Gears franchise, so don't get me wrong there. But at the same time, because the talent inside the studio, it does have me curious to see what they can do with a new IP or a different franchise. They have really displayed their talent. They've done a great job with Gears, it plays great with strong gun mechanics, and they are among the most visually stunning games in the entire industry. They once again proved their graphical expertise with Hivebusters for the Xbox Series X. That is a graphical showcase, and if you haven't tried it already, definitely do so. But yeah, I think they deserve a chance to work on a different IP entirely, and whether that's a new IP or Star Wars, it will be exciting to see what a studio of this pedigree can do. Let's talk about that Epic Games vs. Apple case though, because quite a few things are making their way online. As I said, this includes Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about this as this high-stake case moves forward. I'm going to kind of go over some of the more interesting things that surfaced online. I'm not going to display the emails or documents on this channel, however, but there will be links below. Regardless, let's start off with Xbox. An email between Phil Spencer and Tim Sweeney revealed Xbox has not given up on XCloud coming to other consoles. This has been rumored for quite a long time, especially XCloud on the Switch, but to see it confirmed by Phil Spencer in an email like this is interesting. Now, with that said, I don't think this is surprising though. I think it's been fairly obvious that Xbox wants XCloud and Xbox Game Pass on as many devices as they can get it on. If XCloud made it to the Switch, that would be huge for Xbox because they would have access to 80+ million dedicated gamers. The problem, however, is whether or not Nintendo would want something like this, and here recently a leak suggested that Nintendo does not like the idea. That makes perfect sense because Nintendo wants their consumers to buy games on the Nintendo eShop, and by having something like Xbox Game Pass on the Switch could detract from that. Now, maybe the two could work out some kind of contract or have a limited version of Xbox Game Pass on the Switch, but yeah, there's a lot of hurdles before something like this actually happens. I personally would be shocked if this were to ever happen, but still, an interesting email between the two. Another interesting development, though, was with Metroid and Fortnite. Fortnite has done various collaborations in the past, such as Master Chief from Halo and Fortnite, and Kratos from God of War. And that's really just scratching the surface, but it looks like Nintendo and Epic were considering a Metroid crossover. Now, it's hard to say if this is an active plan or not, but if this does indeed happen, this is great news for the Metroid IP. Whether you love it or hate it, Fortnite is huge, and it can kind of advertise different characters in a similar way that Smash Bros. Does. As an example, a lot of people didn't know who Terry Bogard was until he came to Smash Bros., and it works the same way with Fortnite. A lot of people who play that game probably don't even know about Metroid, but Samus looks pretty cool, and if she's in the game, I'm sure she would draw a lot of attention. The next thing you know, you might get some more customers for Metroid Prime 4 when it releases, and that's exactly what you want to see. If that game is a big hit, maybe Nintendo will do more with the Metroid franchise. The big thing that a lot of people are really discussing, though, is an email between Epic Games and PlayStation over crossplay. A couple years ago, this was a very sensitive topic as it seemed like Sony was halting crossplay with other platforms. This is something that gamers really want, but Sony seemed to be against the idea, blocking multiple games from having crossplay even though Nintendo and Xbox were on board. Eventually, though, Sony did relax a little bit, but now emails have come out showing just how much Sony really hated the idea of crossplay and why some games are allowed to have crossplay on PlayStation today. So basically what happened was that Epic Games tried to convince PlayStation to allow crossplay, and they offered several incentives to make this happen. This included making Sony look like heroes that helped make crossplay happen, which wasn't true, possibly making a VR game for PSVR 2.0, throw in some bonus content for PS Plus subscribers, and even extending Sony's Unreal Engine 4 company-wide license. However, even with all of that, Sony did not agree, and this is the quote that's really getting them into trouble with fans. Cross-platform is not a slam dunk no matter the size of the title. As you know, many companies are exploring this idea, and not a single one can explain how cross-console play improves the PlayStation business. So the reason fans are so upset about this is because it's rather evident that PlayStation was not for their customers here, and it also kept gaming from progressing further. There was never a question of how we can make better games for our fans, even though both Xbox and Nintendo were already doing this. That is something to keep in mind though. These big companies are not our friends. It's a business and they're going to say and do things to promote their own business. Their PS4 slogan was for the gamers, but here it sounds more like it was for the business. This though is an incredibly bad look, and even though Fortnite did eventually get crossplay on the PS4, these documents also revealed that PlayStation required compensation to allow that to happen. As The Verge mentions, this would reportedly force publishers to pay Sony a royalty whenever PlayStation players contribute more than a certain percentage to the bottom line of a cross-platform game. There's actually a number of stipulations here, but Tim Sweeney himself confirmed that PlayStation is the only one that requires this type of compensation. Again, this is not a great look, but this is a small glimpse as to how all this unfolded. Let's take a look at the poll of the day though. We talked a lot about Xbox FPS Boost Mode yesterday as they added more than 70 games to that list for the Xbox Series. Just an incredible update, but I wanted to know your all's thoughts on this topic. Do you think backwards compatibility with things like FPS Boost Mode is a system seller? And the overwhelming majority of you did vote for yes. Several of you in the comments made great points about missing out on games from last generation, and with these updates you have more of a reason to play them now. You know, last generation had a ton of great games, and they're still good today. I mean, if we're going to get excited about buying a remaster for new consoles and talk about how they bring in new fans, then the same can be said with FPS Boost Mode. Instead though, these updates don't require developers to do any extra work, and if you already own the game, it's free of charge. It's just genius what Xbox is doing here, and it keeps these games feeling fresh. I think Ardent in the comments though made a good point. Ardent says that there are many past games that I love to revisit and some that I never got to try. It's basically the same thing with movies. Many movies I love to watch again and again, while there are some from the past I haven't seen yet. If movies are preserved for future viewing, then gaming should be preserved for future playing. I think that's a great summary on this topic, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.